Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to another YouTube live session. If you're new to this channel, please go ahead and subscribe as usual and put your notifications bell on so that you can get notified every single time we have a YouTube live session. Now, if you're listening to this much later, then you can definitely feel free to send us any comments, any questions that you might be having. We always like to just get started on this channel such that if you're following this through much later, then you can, reach out to us on social media, on this comment section, whichever you prefer. Really, this channel is definitely about studying abroad and life abroad and all the good works that come about with it. So please feel free to, subscribe, tell a friend, tell another friend that, this is the place where you can find information about studying abroad and life abroad and just all the good vibes that come about with it. So thank you so much for all the comments and for all the feedback that you have been sending back on the comment section, as well as on my DMs, my Instagram, my Twitter, Facebook, and so on and so forth. So if you're new here, my name is Nduta Wambura, and I am a study abroad consultant now, and I wear several hats. But on this occasion, I'm just going to be a great host, hopefully, to one of my good friends who I actually met. So we have never met in person, but we reverberate because we talk about study abroad, life abroad, and all these kind of things. You might have heard us before talking about study abroad, and perhaps maybe you were interested and you had some questions and all these kind of things. We've been speaking on Twitter, we've spoken on Clubhouse where we met, and even on Instagram sometimes here and there. She's a cousin from another country who lives in another foreign country, which we are going to talk about. Her name is Sylvie Watikum. And I know she's going to actually punish me for maybe pronouncing her name very wrong. So she can correct me later and maybe send me a penalty or whatever it is. But Sylvie, I like to say Dr. Sylvie Watikum because she is a PhD candidate. She should be done with her PhD by now, really, guys. So she is Dr. Sylvie Watikum, who is living in Japan. And she's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to scholarships and the scholarship space. She's been on this space for quite a long time. And believe me, she has a whole wealth of knowledge when it comes to looking for that scholarship and looking for the best opportunity abroad, wherever you're listening from, whether you're from the African continent, the Asian continent, it does not really matter. She has all the tools and the guidelines to use during that process. So she is going to talk to us about scholarships in Japan, as well as the general application process of scholarships. So believe me, you do not want to miss this. So tell a friend to tell another friend, share this a live stream with someone else who can benefit from it, and leave a comment on the comment section. Tell us where you're listening from, and tell us what would you like to know more about studying in Japan. So without further ado, please help me welcome my friend Dr. Sylvie Watikum. Hi.
Hello. That was one heck of an introduction. I love it. I'm taking all of those good words. I'm taking it, I'm sending it to God, and hopefully it materializes. Okay. I'm very happy to be here. Hello,
Yeah.
everybody. I hope you all are well. I'm excited to be here, talk to you all about scholarships. This is home for me, talking about scholarships, studying abroad opportunities, anything that has to do with that. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask your questions. I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to give you all information. And if you want to reach out, also feel free. You can reach out to Duta, subscribe to the channel. That way you get informed each time, and turn the notifications on. That way you get informed each time there's like new content about scholarships. And you can always find us on the DMs, also on Twitter, on Instagram, and we are going to respond to your messages. So put those questions in the comment section. Put them in the comment section even later on, and I can come back later on and answer in case you're watching it later on. So yes, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Do you know we already have some questions that came in already? So, we are already getting started. So, I know that, Japan is one of the most progressive countries that you would ever think about when it comes to technology and education. And I know that, when we talk about, studying in Japan, not so many people really think that it's a place that you can actually study in, especially as an African. And looking at you and having gone to Japan and made all these moves every single time I watch you on your social media, and you're making all these moves, and you're looking for a job, shooting your shot all the time. I love the energy. Can you tell us the secret and how you actually got to go to Japan?
Okay, it's it's a very real story, and I don't know if anyone will be able to relate to this particular story, because most times living I'm originally from Cameroon, born and
Yeah,
raised in Cameroon. So I had left the university, and I was thinking about what do I want to do when I'm done with university. So I had searched for information, and I realized that I had to stay connected with going constantly to the internet, like, because
yeah,
the internet was the only place where we could get information. I
yeah,
wanted to study. I knew that I couldn't afford going to the internet. I don't know how. I'm sure technology has progressed so much in this day and age where we are able to somehow um we are able to like get a lot of information just on our phones, subscribe
yeah,
to different data plans, and it has made life very easy. But for back in the day, I had to go like to cyber cafes in order
yeah,
to like get information about studying abroad and opportunities. So what I did, my mom did not have the money, so I
right,
couldn't constantly be going because I didn't have the money. So I decided to apply for a job at a cyber cafe.
right,
And now I was working in the cyber. I went
yeah,
as if I was working, but of course, you don't work constantly. But the thing is, you have access to the internet 247. So
yeah,
now, because I was working, I now got a lot of access to the internet. And that is how I really got about taking my time to search for scholarships. And the
right,
reason why I tell you all this background story is that I know that you may be, I don't know where everyone watching is from, but you may be in a situation where you do not have the finances to be able to get information constantly. You
yeah,
may not be in the best of situations, but figure out a way. Do
yeah,
not give up on your dreams just because maybe at that particular moment your hands are tight or your hands are short or you don't have the necessary finances to do it. Figure out a way that
yeah,
you can get to do get access to the information that you need, as well
yeah,
as get access to doing your applications. That was
right,
my way. My way was going to work at the cyber. I was a
yeah,
bachelor degree holder, and I was working at
yeah,
the cyber cafe. Normally cyber cafes are run by people who did not go to school, but I had
yeah,
left university, but I
yeah,
had to go to the cyber because in my head what where I was going, my
yeah,
goal was bigger than whatever. Looking at myself like, okay, I'm too cool for school, I am not going to work at the cyber. My goal was bigger, so
yeah,
I was able to like take a step back and then
mhm,
assess my priorities and then figure out a way. So figure out a way. I don't
yes,
know whatever your situation is, but figure out a way. And then the second thing is staying on top of things in terms of information.
right,
Because it was through going to work daily at the cyber cafe. When I
yeah,
went and people, I sold the tickets for those that came in. I
yeah,
sat on those computers like from the time I got into work till the time I got out, and all I was doing was searching for information. Which scholarship is available? What is the
yeah,
application process? Are there forums that I can read information? Is
right,
there do I have to send an email to a professor? And it was
right,
a long process. There were lots of rejections, but the
okay,
thing, staying on top of that information and
mhm,
getting it daily. Probably that is what built my passion for like searching for scholarships daily later
yeah,
on. Later on,
true,
but it was staying on top of information is extremely important, because
yeah,
sometimes they find a scholarship where the deadline is close. And
yeah,
when the deadline is close, now you are rushing to get
yeah,
through the application. You're rushing to
yeah,
submit. And most times in the scholarship application, you have to speak to maybe like your professor to get you
Mhm.
a recommendation letters. They don't have recommendation letters handy. And sometimes your
Exactly.
professors, not even sometimes, professors are always extremely busy. So to
Yeah.
catch a person down when you
Yeah.
have a deadline coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks it's extremely difficult. So
That's
because
true.
of that, staying on top of information, knowing
Yeah.
about the scholarship early, and then now putting together your documents to apply. So that is what I did. I stayed on top of the information, got like daily updates, and then the Japanese scholarship came up. I don't know if everybody knows it. It's called the
Yeah.
Mogakusho Scholarship or the Mumbusho Scholarship.
Yeah.
And it is a scholarship that is given by the Japanese government with the goal of strengthening ties with countries around the world. So it is
Okay.
one of the soft power tools that
Yeah.
the Japanese government uses. And they open up this scholarship annually, and
Yeah.
students from all parts of the world applied. So it was a tight race. I applied. It was a tight
Okay.
race. They brought it down to about 30 of us. And then we went through the last stage, wrote the exams and everything, and 2 of us were chosen
Wow.
throughout the entire year. So that was
Yeah.
my journey. That was how I got the information. That is how I applied. And
Yeah.
then the rest is history.
It's history, as they say, obviously. So, I mean, like, I am super curious, and everybody maybe who is watching could be curious about your background. So, you say you hail from Cameroon, and the reason as to why you got to Japan was because you shot your shot at a cyber cafe first, and started doing all this research about scholarships, and then you landed the Japanese scholarship. So, what did you study in Cameroon, and what were your interests by then? That led you to actually go ahead and look for this scholarship and, say that, hey, you know what? Japan is the place that I want to go and study in. So what, led you to that? And maybe you can tell us a little bit about your background, your bachelor's background and all that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I studied special needs education. This is educating persons with disabilities. I'm going to tell you all why choosing your major is extremely important when
Yeah.
you're going to scholarships. The consultant in me is just popping up, but I studied
Yeah.
I studied special needs education. That is educating children with disabilities.
Mhm.
So at that time, I was looking to study something about uh audiovisual disability, and
Yeah.
trying to figure out how we can come up with more languages for children with disabilities, and
Yeah.
how we can the studying of language is easier for children with disabilities. So
Yeah.
that was major. And when I wrote my research proposal and I submitted it at the Japanese government in my country, when you're applying for the MEC scholarship, you have to apply to either the embassy or the university. But I went through the embassy recommendation one. So I submitted my application and I wrote my research proposal, and then I submitted it at the Japanese embassy. And they
Yeah.
called me because they call you up for a defense. Like it's some sort of like you have to defend what you wrote. And one of the
Okay.
things about the Japanese government scholarship is that they don't really like when somebody studied something at the
Yeah.
bachelor level and you're going to study something else at the master's level. They don't
Okay.
they don't like that. So
Okay.
first thing that played to my favor was that I had studied disability. I had studied special needs education, which is educating children with disabilities. And then
Right.
I was applying for the scholarship to go study disability science. And
Okay.
disability science is like an advanced version of
Okay.
special needs education, because with
Yeah.
special needs education, all you're doing is just learning how to teach them. And
Right.
then now go to disability science. This is you actually studying the entire human system for children with disabilities. So it
Yeah.
was extremely connected. The two
Okay.
things were extremely connected. So it actually hired like my
Right.
chances of choosing me for this particular scholarship. So that is my major, the bachelor's. And
Okay.
then when I got my scholarship, that is
Yeah.
what I had to do at the master's level. Special needs
Okay.
education and then disability science.
Oh, wow. That is so interesting. So, I mean, like, which means that once you applied, you had to go to the Japanese embassy in Cameroon to actually defend exactly what you want to go and study, to tell them that, hey, you know what? I'm the best candidate to go and study a master's in, disability science in
Yes,
Japan. Yeah.
yes, you do. Yes, you do. And it was a panel
Yeah.
of there was one Cameroonian on the panel and 3 Japanese. So the panel
Wow.
they are looking through your research proposal. First,
Yeah.
they ask you questions about the structure of your research proposal. They ask you questions about how important, like Japanese, this is Japanese people's taxpayers' money. This is like
Right.
taxpayers' money from Japanese.
Yeah.
Why is this important? And why do you think that you are the person who should get this particular money to go study? I know that most times in different scholarships, when people apply, yeah, you write your motivation letter and they read your motivation letter and then they pick and
Yeah.
choose who it is. But no, you actually have to show up physically. Show up
Wow.
physically and cross-examine everything that you have written. So you first of all write a couple of exams and then now you show up to defend it, and then they
Yeah.
ask you questions about it before you all get to the next stage.
Wow. That is a drill that, is not very common, because we are used to just seeing an opportunity online, we apply for it, we expect that someone is going to, call us for an interview online and all these kind of things. But it goes to show that how, Japan is very excellent in terms of education and even technology anyways, and they want to ensure that the background that you have is exactly what you're going to, go ahead and study and maybe become better in what you already have studied before. So I think that is very, very different, and it's good to know, because I never knew about that actually. So which means that this scholarship is usually open to pretty much anyone. When they open it, it's open to anyone in the African continent, anyone globally, really,
Yeah,
right? So it's
yeah,
not like closed out to some people,
no,
right?
no.
Okay. Okay, so now in that case, then maybe we can dwell into, what is a scholarship? What does a scholarship entail? The process of application, actually, which you've already started mentioning about, and what does it cover? What are the things that you need to do? What are the requirements that you need to have? So let's talk about the government, the Japanese government scholarship, which you mentioned. I think it's known as the same Japanese government scholarship, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to answer the question in two sections. The
Okay.
first section is, are you an undergraduate student? Okay, this is for undergraduate students. And then the second part, I'm going to talk about postgraduate students. So if you are going to apply for the Japanese government scholarship, you
Yeah.
have to realize that if you are an undergraduate student,
Yeah.
your procedure is different from that of a postgraduate student.
Okay.
Undergraduate students, you get to write tests of subjects like, let's say, chemistry, biology, math, at the embassy. Oh, and with that, there's another layer to it. There are two ways of applying for this scholarship. You either apply through the Japanese embassy in your country, or
Right.
you apply a Japanese university. So
Okay.
there are two ways to get into the Japanese Japanese government scholarship.
Yeah.
One is your embassy. The second way is through a Japanese university.
Okay.
Because there's a whole procedure to get into a Japanese university. You have to write an entrance exam. You have to
Yeah.
have a so there's a whole process to you getting it. And if you get into a Japanese university,
Yeah.
then your professors can inform you that, okay, these are the funding opportunities that are available. Apply for this scholarship. This is the Japanese government scholarship. Apply for it. So the good
Okay.
thing with this particular process, it's a normal thing. The thing with this particular process is that,
Yeah.
yes, the
Yeah.
university first of all screens and they choose like the best, because when you're going, you still have to write those exams. So they screen the people, choose whoever it is, and then they apply. After getting admission to the university, then you
Yeah.
apply to the second
Okay.
way is applying at the Japanese embassy in your country. In so
Okay.
many countries around the world, there are Japanese embassies, and
Right.
most of the scholarships are published around April, so end of this month, because
Okay.
the new cohort,
Yeah.
of students just came in. They
Okay.
just came in. I think 2-3 weeks. Some of them are still arriving because of COVID. So
Right.
by the end of this early next month, they are going to start a new cycle. They are going to
Okay.
start a new cycle. So
Yeah.
sometime around that April, May, they open up a new cycle. Students have to go through the application process for postgraduate students, and then for
Yeah.
undergraduate students, you also have to write the biology, English, chemistry, math exams at the embassy. So you all go there, sit there, write an exam, mark it. They choose the best person from that cohort. And then you all now go through interview procedures, and that is how undergraduate students are chosen. And then for master's students, because I'm as a master's student, my first step was submitting hard copy. So when they do the advertisement, normally on the Japanese website, you're going to see a new announcement. Japanese government scholarship is now available. You apply for it. There is an attachment where you have to submit tons of. So you download all of those documents, pick it up, fill up everything. They require you to do like a health check and submit and everything. So you go that process and then you go submit. Then you hold, when you wait. When you wait, they're going to get back to you and then they're going to invite. They're already going to do like some sort of like a primary screening, and then they invite everyone else to come to the embassy for let me see, what was first? I'm trying to remember what was first. Was it the exam or the interview? No, the exam. So you now the embassy, because with most scholarships, you have to submit like an IELTS or TOEFL certificate to show that you speak English, blah. But with a Japanese men's scholarship, you go to the embassy and you write the English exam there. 60 questions in 60 minutes, and you're supposed to write the exam. You also write a Japanese exam, but that doesn't count, especially if you're going to be studying in English. That does not count. So you have to, it's like a TOEFL, you know how TOEFL exams are structured? It's that. But organized by them and marked by them, because I don't know if it's that they don't trust, like, okay, probably there was something messy before you got your score, but so they want to analyze for themselves that, okay, we have checked this person and this person actually speak proper English. So you write your exams there, and then that is the second screen. So they do document screening, then the exam screening, and then after that, they choose a lot of people. Then you all have to come back to the embassy for the oral interview. And at the oral interview, now, that is where you have to defend your research proposal. That is where a very important question that I always tell students, that get an answer to that question, because I think that question also helped me and the crazy part is I did not know the answers to this question. And on the day of the interview, I sat in front of the embassy and I was being nosy. So I kept going around and seeing what people were studying, prepping for the interview. And then I saw one guy was to the universities, the Japanese universities that he had chosen. And I was like, why is he looking at it? And then I asked myself, but what were the universities I chose? Because I went online and I picked 3 universities that had my major. I didn't know the names of the universities. The first question they ask you there, you chose 3 Japanese universities. State your first choice, second choice, third choice. And I was like, oh my goodness. Because I did not know those names till I saw that practicing. Then I looked at mine and then I tried to, I remembered the names. And that was my first question. So it's always important to know that to choose 3 universities, your preferences of which Japanese universities you want to go. Make sure you remember the names. Make sure you remember your research. Why are you doing that research? Why is it important? And why should they you amongst everyone else? So when you now go through that process, that's the last stage. They will now get or with the final or the final results that have been chosen, and then you're ready to go. All you need to do is show up your passport, and you do everything. It's a fully funded scholarship. Everything is taken care of. You show up with your passport, airport fees, everything is taken care of. You just show up, and then they give you your flight ticket. You walk straight through. You get in. You come here. You walk straight through into your dormitory. This is paid for. Everything is paid for.
Okay. Oh, wow. That is so good to know, because the process usually depends. I think, I guess maybe it's better to apply via the embassy, or maybe the, I don't know, the schools, the Japanese universities directly. I don't know which is the better process, because again, sometimes it's weird to know, like some embassies might have some what we call, quote unquote, some people who might, want to have their own people going, what I mean when it comes to African countries. Sometimes you might find that there are some preferences, there are some weird things going on, and all these kind of things. And guys, I mean, this is something that happens outrightly. So I don't know which is the better way
It
to
does.
apply via the Japanese universities directly or the Japanese embassy. What would you say now that you already went through the process and you've seen other people coming in? I mean, just tell us.
That's a very good question, because
Yeah.
I am working in the scholarship space for so long. I've seen scholarships that I watch students go through the process, and money exchanged hands, and people got scholarships that I was looking at it and I was like, I know you didn't deserve that. I know, and probably in getting that, others who probably deserved it were slighted. So most, I think, just as you said, at the embassy, you have our people working there. And when our people are working in places, our people get to choose our people. So I think that the embassy tries its best to. That is the reason why on my panel, there were 1 Cameroonian and 3 Japanese. Because the opinion of those Japanese people is extremely important when then the results of the exam that you write is like extremely considered. So I think they try to minimize the risk as much as possible, because they probably know that this is what can happen. So they try to minimize the risk as much as possible. But I think that I think I'll give both 50-50. I swear. I definitely think that they do lots of they take lots of steps at the embassy to try to prevent that from happening. And I've spoken to lots of scholars who applied through the embassy. The reasons why they chose the Japanese government scholarship was that they felt that it was one of those scholarships where it will be merit, like they would judge them just based off of their merits, and they are not going. It's not going to get contaminated somewhere along the line. So I feel that they put lots of guardrails to make sure that the integrity of the scholarship is maintained at either university recommended or embassy recommended. I'll give it a 50-50, to be honest with you.
Okay. Fair enough. Obviously. So, guys, I just want to give Dr. Sylvie here a quick water break, and I just want you to go ahead and send in any questions that you still have. We already have quite a number of questions that I received when I posted about this live stream. And guys, we've already spoken about the Japanese government scholarship, which is available for you to apply, whether you're in the African continent, the Asian continent, really Europe. I mean, everywhere where there is the Japanese presence, you definitely can be able to apply for this scholarship, whether it's for an undergraduate, a master's program, or even a postgraduate. And this is for the government scholarship. But we do also have some more scholarships that are in Japan. We've spoken about the MEXT scholarship, for example, which we are going to talk about in a few. And I mean, the thing that you need to understand from these live sessions is that to realize that these opportunities are actually there for you. The thing that you need to do is obviously the work. The work of the application is quite something that you have to put in the effort every single other time. Because again, when you heard about the Japanese scholarship, in terms of the application process is quite different from any other scholarship that you might just want to go online and just click. But at the same time, going into the Japanese government scholarship, you do need to show that for sure, you actually are the best candidate for this scholarship by going to do a test. And, the evaluation process, obviously, is something that you need to get ready for. And you heard that these scholarships would be open for applications starting the end of this month. So you're listening to this at the very, very, very right time. So in case you're considering going to Japan, it's one of the excellent countries that you can study anything to do with technology, education, and the precision in the education system and the precision of Japanese systems, which we will touch a little bit about, is quite something to admire and learn a lot from. And the truth is, it can be done. It doesn't matter from where you're from, whether you're listening from Kenya, from Cameroon, from Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, name it, really. This is something that you can shoot your shot and go and understand the Japanese system, learn quite a lot. If your thing is to go back to your own country, well and good. If your thing is to continue on, maybe you went there for an undergraduate and then you want to carry on with your master's in the same country, and then go over to a PhD, like Dr. Sylvie did actually, then this is something that is very, very, very much possible. So these sessions are to empower you, to show you that, it can be done. We are epitomes that, hey, you can study abroad, you can be successful abroad, you can actually go to countries which are not so mainstream and even succeed in there. What you need to do is obviously do the effort of applying, understanding the scholarship, application process, going by the rules, following the rules, because sometimes we find that African applications, sometimes we just don't want to follow the rules. Sometimes we just want to cut corners. We want to cut corners with our statements of purpose, with our documentary and all these kind of things, which actually we are shooting our foot every single time when we do this to ourselves. But we're here to tell you that, hey, you know what? If you want some support, you can reach out to us. We can definitely walk through the system and, the application processes and all these kind of things. So feel free to let us know on the comment section where you're listening from. What do you want to know about Japan? What are you curious about? Perhaps you're listening for your cousin or your relative or maybe your ex, who knows? You can ask a question on their behalf and let us know what more would you like to learn from this session. So I want us now to delve into the other scholarships that are available in Japan. And one of them I've already mentioned here is called the MEXT scholarship. So it's MEXT. And Dr. Sylvie is going to tell us more about this scholarship and how you can apply for it and whether, it covers for the undergraduates, master's programs, PhDs, and what are the parameters of application. And you know what? We're also going to have another section where we talk about general application processes of scholarships. Because as you have heard, Dr. Sylvie is one wealth of knowledge when it comes to scholarship. And she has been working with quite a number of students about this. So, you have to keep at it, listen, share this video already. And I want to invite Dr. Sylvie once again back to tell us now about the MEXT scholarship. So, Dr. Sylvie, tell us. So we've talked about the Japanese government scholarship. So you've mentioned about the MEXT scholarship, and you've also mentioned that there are other scholarships that are within the Japan, country, and there are all these opportunities flying right, left, center. Like yourself, you went to do a master's, and then you went over and did a PhD. And the transition to that, and now working and all these kind of things, we are going to talk about that transition. But tell us more about other scholarships that are in Japan.
Mm-hmm. All right. First of all, we need to separate it. We need to put it into two categories. I like to separate things and just easier for people to be able to consume it. So there are scholarships that you get before you move to Japan. And there are scholarships that you get after you get to Japan. Not all students get to have like the scholarships like the MEXT scholarship. It's extremely competitive. The Japanese government scholarship. It's extremely competitive. I told you, like, we went through all of that process, and just two of us were in the entire cohort of my year. So just imagine how many other students were not even chosen. But there are some students who can afford it, who can get to come to Japan as privately sponsored students. So there are two ways. You can either choose to, depending on how competitive you are, you can get in where you just apply to like your embassy in your country, you go through that, then should you get your way in, and then you already have your funding and all of that structured. But there's another path. The other path is getting in through like as a self-sponsored student. So you take your time, go through various universities, you see whatever majors that they are offering, and then you reach out to some professors, and some I give you a research proposal, and the professor is like, oh, by the way, I find your research interesting. All right, so in that, what can we do? Let us get to go ahead, do your application process for the university. If the university accepts you, then you can come in as a privately sponsored student. So if you have the finances and you can do that, you can either just go straight to apply to university, or if you are competitive enough, you can go through that the Japanese government scholarship. But once you get to Japan, although you as a self-financed student, there are tons scholarships for international students who are already in Japan. So many foundations, the Mitsubishi Foundation, Toyota Foundation, all of these big brand names that we know of what Japan entails, all of them have the foundation parts of them, and they provide scholarships to students. Like right now, the Hongo Foundation scholarships is currently accepting applicants for students who want to apply to different universities. There are
again. What's the name of that scholarship again?
The Honjo Foundation. The Honjo Foundation. Honjo Foundation.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
Currently, the Honjo Foundation is accepting students. So if you came in as a privately sponsored student, and then you are already in university, then now you can avail all of these scholarships. There are other scholarships that they want you to have gotten an admission at a Japanese university. If you have gotten an admission, then they can tell you that, okay, these are the sources of finances that are available. There is one called JASO. JASO is mostly provided to all international students who apply for it. It's not much. It's mostly like just pocket money that you're given. Pocket money is better than not having pocket money at all, right? So there are so many of those scholarships that you can avail while you are here. So there are two ways. There are three ways. Either go through applying for competitive scholarships from back home, or you can afford it, come in as a privately sponsored student, and then avail scholarships that are available, or apply to the university. When the university accepts you, ask their finance office or ask your professors what are the scholarships that are available for international students. I'm going to download a website that is called JASO, JASSO. When you go to the JASO website, what you're going to find there is actually they publish this document about scholarships for international students in Japan yearly. And there you're going to find a whole laundry list of scholarships. But it is everything put together. So you have like, okay, students from other Asian countries, students from Middle East countries, students from North African countries, students from African countries. So it is like, it will give you the whole laundry list of scholarships that are available. Then you can now take your time, go through it. You can apply now to the university. After applying to the university, then you look through those scholarships, and then you're like, okay, I want to apply for this scholarship, this scholarship, this scholarship, and you can apply for all of them as long as you've been granted your admission to a university. So do not fear. Do not fear. I cannot afford applying. I cannot afford I cannot afford to go in as a private student. Even if you want to apply to universities here, you can go in, and then when you indicate, you say yes, you are a privately sponsored student, but you are going to be applying for various scholarships, and then you now have your time to apply for all of these scholarships. Go to the JASSO website, JASO, download the booklet. They should have a new version for 2022-2023. Look through that list, see the scholarships are available for that year, and then you start your application. So that's what you should do. Secondly, because you have to speak to a professor, speak to your professor, ask them about funding options that are available for international students. And the third thing, speak to the finance office of that university that you've chosen, ask them for funding options for international students. And through these three means, you're going to get tons of finances. So do not fear if you're like, I cannot self-sponsor. There are two ways.
Okay. And then you mentioned something about speaking to your supervisor or speaking to a lecturer in the university. So in this case, would you be sending like a cold email, what we call quote unquote cold email, where you're introducing yourself to a lecturer, or is there a list that's already published on these universities that you can be able to identify a lecturer and maybe begin some sort of talk with them, and then introduce yourself and let them know that this is the course that you want to study, whether they can be able to assist you and these kind of things? Do you do that? Do you do a cold email, or what happens actually?
Mostly it's cold emailing. It's
Okay.
actually cold emailing professors. But the thing is that you're not cold emailing a professor telling him about the finances that you need for your study.
Okay.
You're
Yeah.
cold emailing the professor mostly curious about research options and
Mm.
joining the professor's department or joining the
Okay.
professor's research lab. So that is
Yeah.
what you're cold emailing for. And most
Okay.
times, professors keep an eye out for
Yeah.
different emails that come through from students around the world. And
Okay.
if professor sees something that piques their eye, the
Yeah.
chance that they are going to respond to you is extremely high. So it's, and most universities have like their professors, the list of their professors. So it is
Yeah.
really easy to scroll through to see. And most of it also, they also have the professors' publications, like the professors name their publications. So you can
Yeah.
really take your time to scan through, okay, what has the professor written about, what
Right.
are their interests, and then you can see, you can now begin to match to see
Yeah.
which professors align better with what
Exactly.
you study, which ones align better. Then you can
Okay.
now start cold emailing, because hell no, you don't want to be cold emailing someone without taking time to do your background, to do your homework, to make sure that
Yeah.
you do a lot of due diligence to make sure that there is whatever it is you're asking for
Yeah.
blend
Yeah.
with whatever it is that the professor can offer.
That's true. That's very true. And then one thing that obviously I want to ask you is about the general requirements that you would need to actually apply for any one of these scholarships. Because we know, like for example, in the UK, there's no way you are going to go study in a UK university if you do not have an English certificate. These are some of the things that are very generic. If you do not have your passport is the first thing that you actually need to have. If you do not have your statement of purpose on lock, things to do with recommendation letters, your undergraduate, in most cases, you find like some scholarships will prefer people who've done the undergraduate and they graduated with a first class honor. I don't know how it's the case in Japan, whether you can study, whether, you can do your master's with a second class, upper division, lower division. These are the some of the questions that I actually already got, because some people were wondering. So hey, you know what? I want to do my master's in Japan, in technology or whatever it is. I mean, and I got a second class, lower division, but I have some experience. So does this qualify me to actually come and study in Japan, or is it one of those high-end countries? Because we associate Japan with precision, we associate it with the best of the best technology. We know, and we've seen it in the news anyway, that there are no mistakes, and that is something that I want you to speak about, right after this. The fact that there's kind of no room for mistakes, quote unquote, if I might say. And if you can tell us, what are the general requirements that somebody who is listening to this and they're like, you know what, I just finished my high school, for example, in Kenya or Cameroon or wherever, and I'm looking to study my undergraduate maybe in Japan, right? What are the general requirements that I need to think about? And also, I might want to do a master's. What are the general requirements? Maybe I want to do a PhD. What are the general requirements, across the board? If you can speak about that for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. All right. So generally, when you are applying to grad school, well, on undergraduate students included, when you are applying to higher education, bachelor students, master students, PhD students, there are tons of entry requirements, and still going back to Japanese perfection, that is a thing. That is something that you learn pretty quick when you get to this country. The amount of, you are expected to be perfect. There is no room for mistakes. Mistakes are frowned upon really hard. So it also goes down to admissions at grad school. So most times, what the Japanese universities do is that you get to write an entrance exam. You go through the general application, and then you submit your documents, pay the sometimes it's like $300 that you have to pay for like just the admission fee. Some universities like $50. Japanese universities like $300. It's extremely. And then you now sit for an entrance exam, and that is where the battle is. Of course, your CV matters, your certificates matter, and also one other thing that matters is what did you study at the undergraduate level, and how does that tie with what you're going to study at the next level. And that is extremely important. And then that these entrance exams are extremely important because it's extremely strict, it's extremely Japanese styled, and the panel of professors that your exam goes through, it's so rigorous that I most times I think Japan, they want to make their own assessment of whatever it is that you bring to them. Okay. Fine and good. Your transcript shows that you were this A student when you were doing your bachelor's. Fine. Let's get to see. Let's test that knowledge at this entrance exam to see how you score getting into masters. So a professor, first of all, saying okay to you is extremely important. And then what you studied versus what you studied before versus what you're going to study now is extremely important. The entrance exam results is extremely important. And if you get through the entrance exam results, another thing that they do is they of course, most universities do that. They put you through an interview, an oral interview. And that oral interview is mostly consistent of like most of the professors in the department. So it's like you go through 10 procedures, like just 10 procedures in order to get into, like, to get your foot in the door. That is why there is a whole research field about how students find it so hard to get into Japanese universities that some people choose to go to language school because language is easier to get in compared to Japanese universities. So yes, your score matters, and your professional, if you're coming in for for example, the Abe Initiative Scholarship. This is a scholarship that was introduced by the previous Prime Minister, Abe. And the idea of it is to bring professionals from all parts of the world to come study in Japan as well as do internships in Japan. So that one is targeted professionals. And there are also JICA scholarships. That one also targets professionals from different parts. There is the World Bank Scholarship. The World Bank Scholarship targets professionals also. There is the Asian Development Bank Scholarship. That one targets professionals. So those are like a couple of scholarships where your professional qualities and what you have done since you started working will matter. But now come down to the academics. It is really, yes, your score matters, but your professor also matters. Your entrance exam results also matters. Fitting what you study versus what you're going to study also matters. So the things that you are evaluated on are so much more when you apply to Japanese universities. But if you have, well, I know most students are always extremely nervous. Like, okay, I have a 2.5 on 4 GPA. Can I make it? I would say that do not weary. Do not first of all, don't have a 2.5 on scholarships because chances get extremely limited. But if you have it already, you're already your study, you already have it. What I'll say is that take your time to professor's profile. First, what is your major? Look through your, take your time to study various professors' profiles. Which one's research interest can you fit yourself in? And if you're able to find something that a professor can be curious about, reach out to that professor. In Japan, we always say that your professor is like your God. And if a professor says yes, the chance any other person is going to say extremely slim, because professors are like the end all and be all. It's the same thing even when you come in and it's time for you to go through your studies and graduate. Professors tell normally under the Japanese government scholarship, when you come in, the government requires that you do language studies for like either 6 months or 1 year before you start your studies. But some professors are like, no, we are not going to do that. We are going straight into work. And the government systems. So your professor is like your second god when you're here. So if you're in interest in whatever it is that you're doing, there are so many hoops that you can jump. So time studying professors, and then you can find your way.
Wow, that's a very good point that you made, because I mean, like in most of the scholarships that you'll find out there, usually you might not actually need to reach out to your professor or a lecturer or do the cold emailing. So I think that's a very good point, and I think maybe in the future we need to have a whole session where we talk about cold emailing and how to do it and how to go about it and how to nail it, honestly, because usually sometimes you might just decide to write an email, but then a lecturer doesn't even want to read it, because anyways it's neither here nor there. So I know that we are short of time, but I want us to go into the questions section, and then we are going to speak about a little bit about your transition as we end this session, obviously. And so we have quite a number of questions actually, and I'll start with the ones that we just got right here. And I do see you, Walter Kiplangat. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for hanging out with us yesterday. You say, hi, Nduta, your Twitter space yesterday night was quite informative. It was my first time to attend, and it got my attention and interest as well. I trust today's session will be great as well. I do hope that you've been getting some bit of value, Walter, and thank you so much for staying on. Johnston from Roy, I see you. New NBA official following from Kasarani, I see you. And Walter also in Nairobi. And one of the questions here is Taberas here. How much proof of funds is required for studying in Japan? I do hope that they're thinking about studying as self-funded students. So how much proof of funds, Dr. Sylvie, do you need for someone who is coming to study in Japan? And is this in yen? Is this in dollars? Is it in Kenya shillings? I don't know, because sometimes I see you talking about dollars and I'm like, you're in Japan. You should be talking about the yen. What's going on here? As in, like, can you explain that further, maybe? Yeah.
That's actually a very good question. And I'll be damned because I don't know the answer. It's crazy that I don't know the answer. I'm just going to be like honest with you all, because I work so much in the scholarship space. Like most times when you look around, you see like grad school consultants, and what they do is they already have a good sense of this is how you need, because you have to show proof of funding in this amount. Like you need this, you need that, and because I focus a lot on the art of getting money and just applying scholarships, and I never really get to work with students that are privately financed, and I never really get to work with students who are coming in as without scholarships. So exactly how much is needed.
But what would you say, for example, in terms of sorry, go ahead. Sorry about that. So I was just asking, what would you say, for example, in terms of housing, in terms of food, would somebody use per month? Let's just put it that way. In dollars, I don't know whether this is US dollars or in yen. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. So for students that are already in Japan, right? If let's say you had a scholarship and then you no longer have a scholarship, you're required to have about $3,000 in your account to show that that's the proof of funding for students that are already in Japan. For those coming in, I'm not too sure how much is required. I remember once that a friend was working with a student from Zimbabwe, and I think they had to have like 1 million yen in that account, which is about $10,000. I think that is what was required. I'll check back with her to make sure that I'm getting my facts straight.
Yeah.
I can probably put it on my Twitter feed or in my Instagram stories when I get the correct amount. So
Yeah.
that I think was required, but I'll find out just to be sure. And then
Yeah.
in terms of just daily living in Japan,
Yeah.
let's add it up. If you are living in the dormitory, like the university dormitory, you can get to pay as minimum as almost $150. Let me talk in dollar terms, since more people can convert dollar to see how much that translates to in their local currency. You can give, for example, let's do a little math exercise here.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if let's say that you're paying for your rent is $150. This is like you get the room where you get to share the bathroom, you share the toilet with some.
Yeah.
But if you are going to get your private room where you have like your own space, you have your washing machine, you have everything to yourself, then probably you're going to be paying right up to about $500. But let's say that you are most students do not have a lot of money, right? So let's the $150 option in order
and this is
for
USD. Yeah.
Yes, $. And then how much you probably spend, give and take, about $400 for food monthly. Transportation, give and take, you're probably going to spend about $150 for transportation also. And then maybe what is important? Food is important. And then bills like your gas, everything. Probably let's put $100 a month for that. And then probably you're probably going to walk around, have some, let's put $200 in that. So per month, if you are just living like on the basic, the margins of it, you need like $1,000 a month in order to get by. And just like getting by. It's not, it's like, which means that if anything goes outside of that, then you have a problem. But just the basic of getting by, you can probably budget $1,000 a month. And for next students, this is why this amount, this range that I am giving, I think the range is almost accurate, because for MEX students, when you get the Japanese government scholarship, when you come in the first time, they don't pay your scholarship yet. So all MEX students are required to come into Japan with $1,200 to survive that first month. And then from the first month, and then they'll start paying your stipend the next month. So the government budgets that a normal student can spend about $1,000. So I think my estimation is not very off.
Okay, great. That's good to know. I mean, I think obviously people should follow you on either your Twitter or Instagram, and then maybe you can share this information much later in terms of the amount of money if you're thinking to go there as a self-funded student. So, guys, I actually put in on the comment section the Honjo Foundation and the JASO website for scholarships for international students, so you can check that out. The next question is from the same person who says, are international students allowed to work in Japan? If yes, how many hours per week? And
yes, you're allowed to work. You're given 28 hours a week to work, and give and take, you can be making based off of if you work the full 28 hours, you can make about based off of where you work. If you're many students work at places like McDonald's, probably you can make $1,500 a month. If you work at some other kind of places, you can make up to $2,500 a month, monthly, working just the full 28 hours. But how feasible is it to work 28 hours? Because as a student, you have lots of commitments. Like you have lots of commitments in terms of like classes, you have research, dissertation, and everything. So this being able to work full 28 hours is really for PhD students whose schedules are a bit flexible. And well, for PhD students in the social sciences, because for students in the natural science who are doing experiments, you have a time slot. You have to clock in the morning, clock in the afternoon, in the
Okay.
evening. Probably
Yeah.
may not even have the chance to be able to work. But for
Yeah.
those that can do their research from home,
Yeah.
then you can get to work that full 28 hours. And also during holidays like
Yeah.
spring break, during summer break, all those breaks, students are allowed to work up to 40 hours a week.
Okay, that's good to know. At least you can get by anyways,
You
depending
can,
on what your class hours looks like. So
yeah.
uh, I hope that is.
And just one thing, one
Yeah.
last thing,
Yeah.
you will find a job as a student in Japan. I know that
Right.
my friends who are studying in France, they
Yeah.
explained how hard it was for them
Yes.
to be able to get part-time jobs. And I was really surprised because as a student, if you want to work in Japan, you'll find something to do.
Okay.
It's not rocket science in Japan to get something to do. It's not going to be that hard.
Yeah. So in Europe, it's quite difficult because it depends with the country that you're in and how your visa is looking like. Because some of the student visas will not allow you at all to work. Some of them might allow you for just a bit of time, but you have to get a letter from the immigration offices and so on and so forth. But well, that's a story for another day, obviously. So now, what are the language requirements in Japan? I think we mentioned this about the English test, right? That you need to maybe go and do in the British Council or something, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
most universities will want you to go write their test, like
Mhm.
to maybe submit an IELTS or TOEFL test. Some universities accept the what's it called, IBT test. Some of them accept that. Some of them
Yeah.
you will have to write the English
Okay.
exam. So just check with the university that you're getting into to be sure what it requires.
Okay. Great to know. And same person asked, I have sent cold emails to several professors in the US, but only a few responded. What is the best trick? Tiberius, we're gonna have a whole session about cold emails, and we talked about with Sanya Jane before here how to send a cold email quickly. But I think we're going to dedicate a whole session about sending cold emails. The timing as well really matters. How you introduce yourself, all these kind of things really do matter. So stay tuned, we're gonna have that session for sure. And now, can we have the email of Sylvie? How can we contact her? She's on Instagram, Twitter, I don't know where else.
I think y'all can DM me on Instagram and on Twitter.
Yeah.
And if you want to follow a page where I am like super professional there, follow the study abroad page. Study
Yeah.
abroad. If you go to my profile on Instagram, you will see the
Yeah.
link to the study abroad page. That is the
Yeah.
page where I'm going to be talking everything study abroad related, scholarships related. But if you
Yeah.
follow me, you're going to be seeing things that have to do with my private life and the things that I do. And I'm sure you all are not interested in that. You're interested in information about studying abroad, information about scholarships. So the
Yeah.
best thing to do, follow the study abroad page. If you go to my on Instagram, Sylvie Watikum, you'll see the link to the study abroad page. Follow that. When you send emails there, my teammates, even if I'm not there, my teammates will reply, and it's going to be faster, quicker. We get to you easier. And then
Yeah.
what you send me on Twitter too. On Twitter too, please follow me on Twitter there, because there it's always going to be like a lot of scholarship information or PhD information or things related to productivity. I'm not really going to be posting a lot about my private life there, but on Instagram, my personal page, I post a lot of things. So just follow those two professional pages. That way you're safer.
Absolutely. And now going over to the next questions here. So what are the chances of doing a PhD with a BS in Japan? I mean, I think there are quite good chances, because you can begin maybe with your bachelor's, maybe go to a master's and then go to a PhD. I know maybe you can speak about that, and maybe you can answer at the same time. Are graduate assistantships widely available in Japan? So it's the same person asking this question. So maybe you can speak a little bit about that.
They have this thing where they have this 3+1 program where students do 1 year as
Uh-oh, I think we lost Dr. Sylvie here. So the thing is, she'd mentioned to me that she might go away because of her charge and internet issues. So guys, the thing that we want to do is definitely answer all your questions. So you know what? You can reach out to us on Instagram or on Twitter, or even here, right here. I'm gonna let Dr. Sylvie answer all the questions here. But the thing is, obviously, is that yes, there are chances of doing a PhD, because she actually began doing her masters and then went over to a PhD. And I mean, I think it's a good chance for you to actually explore these chances. And what you can do, Tiberius, you can reach out to her directly on maybe on Twitter or on Instagram for these kinds of questions, in case you do want an in-depth approach. And in the final question here was any information on the MEXT scholarship. I'm interested in a PhD, preferably at Tokyo Tech. Yes. Again, Dr. Sylvie has mentioned before about the MEXT scholarship, and she mentioned that yes, it's actually very much available. If you do want some more information about it, again, I would want to direct you to her. Her page, her Twitter page, and her Instagram is at Sylvie Watikum. I'm gonna leave her name right here on the comment section so that you can reach out to her. And guys, I think we've had quite a lot of value already during this session, and thank you so much for staying on. And you know what? This conversation does not end here. We are going to have another conversation about this in the near future, and of course talk about the cold emails, talk about, you know, more about studying in Japan. In case you have any specific question that you would like us to address, perhaps maybe on a Twitter space or a YouTube live, once again, please let us know and we are gonna get into it. Dr. Sylvie herself is a scholarship consultant. I also join hands with her. In fact, we have the same team, and we can walk through, you know, the application process of any scholarship that you're looking to do, and we can read your statements of purpose. We can go ahead and tell you which are the best scholarships to look out for, what is the best way to go ahead and apply for a scholarship, you know, all these kind of things that you might have been thinking about and maybe questioning yourself. So again, guys, I think that you know, there's quite a lot of value obviously on this channel. In case you are interested in any one of the scholarships that we've been talking about here, any of the fellowships as well, please be sure to go ahead and watch any of the videos that I have posted over here, whether they are live videos, whether they are just videos that I actually did. Please go ahead and watch them. There's a lot of value that has been here, and I've been privileged enough to speak to quite a number of people who've gone through these scholarship opportunities. And you know what? You can shoot your shot. So this channel is to let you know that, hey, you too can do it, because we did it. All the people that come on this channel usually have gone through the process and have gone through the process of application. They've checked out the countries that they want to go and study in. They've lived abroad. They've had the experiences. And it's the epitome of telling you that, yes, it's very much possible to study abroad, to live abroad, to maybe work abroad, to go for that fellowship, go for that summer school, that language course that you have been thinking about. Don't think about it too much, really. Just go ahead and apply. You really do have nothing to lose in most of the cases here. So if you do not have your passport yet, go and get that passport already. If you do not have your recommendation letters, or if you've not even begun writing your statements of purpose, like these nitty gritties that you've been hearing that are very generic, go ahead and do it. That way, when the opportunity opens up for applications, you're not rushing up to the very last minute wondering, oh my God, this opportunity was very, very amazing. It was my thing. I didn't go for it because I did not have document A, B, C, D, E. That's no way to live. So please go ahead and prepare ahead of time. So I guess this would be it for today. Until next time, please subscribe, tell someone to come over and also listen to these videos, and also, you know, share the videos. And until next time, please keep us posted on the comment section. On my Twitter handle, my Instagram, I am Duta Wambura across the board. So you can definitely reach out to me. My DMs are very much open, and I'm happy to answer any question that you might be having. So thank you so much for hanging out with us on a Saturday. And until next time, bye.